My name is Kat Estep, and I'm going to be talking about ecosystem and species protection. So the main ideas of ecosystem and species protection are the terms ecosystem, sustainability, and environmental impact. So MaximumYield.com refers to an ecosystem as a given area in which all the living things, including plants, animals, and organisms, interact with each other, as well as the non-living environmental factors interact with them. So weather, earth, sun, soil, climate, and atmosphere that surround the living things. I'm out of breath. I just had to grab this rabbit. UCLA Sustainability talks about the concept of sustainability by quoting, "The physical development and institutional operating practices that meet the needs of present users without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs, particularly with regard to use and waste of natural resources. Sustainable practices support ecological, human and economic health and vitality. Sustainability presumes that resources are finite and should be used conservatively and wisely with a view to long-term priorities and consequences of the ways in which resources are used." Hold on just a second, I need to grab this rabbit.
6.5 hours later.
Okay, I'm back. So we talked about ecosystem, sustainability, and the third thing we're going to talk about is environmental impact. So businessdictionary.com gives us that definition by saying, quote, "Possible adverse effects caused by a development, industrial, or infrastructural project, or by the release of a substance into the environment." So basically, environmental impact is usually not a good thing. Not a good thing. There's a rabbit poop on the ground. And it's gross. So how do societies affect threatened species and ecosystems? We're going to talk about how it does through mining. So according to greentumble.com, the basics of mining are as follows. So it affects the land by blowing up or drilling into the land, which is not good for it. The features in the land before the mining often cannot be replaced or replicated. Different types of mining have various impacts. So strip mining, pretty self-explanatory, but it involves clearing trees, plants, and topsoil, which inevitably causes pervasive soil erosion, not a good thing, which inevitably results in the pollution of waterways, which is also not a good thing. Another type of mining is called underground coal mining, which leads to the release of methane into the atmosphere and bringing toxic waste to the surface of the earth. Oh, good. This mining would generally be for the acquirement of basic resources, so things that we need, but not as many luxury or specialized things. So another way that mining affects the environment is the animals. Most mining processes don't have much regard for the animals living in the area, because humans are more important. Clearly. Mountaintop removal is a pretty typical procedure done in order to get coal out of the inner parts of a mountain. However, this undoubtedly kills thousands of animals because the process involves using dynamite to literally combust the top of a mountain until the mountain is rubble. So the animals are inevitably crushed by rock or explode themselves. Beautiful picture. It affects humans, mining does, in that miners commonly suffer from black lung disease, which is a respiratory disease that is caused by prolonged exposure to coal dust, which is disgusting. This is happening even today, contrary to popular belief, as some miners, particularly in Australia, are reported to have acquired it. Not only has black lung disease continued being an issue, but people living near coal mines have been reported to have increased lung cancer rates, respiratory disease, and low birth weights. Also, people who live near surface mines face health issues due to the explosives used and the chemicals that are inevitably released into the air as a result of this. According to BrilliantEarth.com, a more specialized type of mining has been detrimental to certain ecosystems, and that is diamond mining, often referred to as the blood diamond industry. So ladies, before you think about getting a ring by spring, you should think about these factors of where your diamond on your finger might be coming from, and just consider that. So what blood diamond mining can do to the land, the website says, BrilliantEarth.com, that the diamond mining industry has taken a heavy toll on Angola's environment. Irresponsible diamond mining has caused soil erosion, led to deforestation, and forced local populations to relocate. Their diamond industry has also been particularly careless when it comes to protecting rivers and streams from exploitation. These miners have rerouted rivers and constructed dams to expose riverbeds for mining, having a disastrous effect on fish and the surrounding wildlife. Sometimes this frivolous type of mining has even caused entire ecosystems to collapse. These miners in the Kono district of eastern Sierra Leone have left thousands of abandoned mining pits. The wildlife has vanished as a result, topsoil has eroded, and land once suitable for farming is now similar to the landscape of the moon, meaning it is desertous and barren, not able to sustain life anymore. These mining pits have affected the neighboring communities in that they fill with stagnant water, rainwater, and become infested with mosquitoes, spreading malaria and other waterborne diseases to the people and animals surrounding. So mining industries clearly have drastic and negative effects on the environment and ecosystems globally, but another recurring issue that has been present for thousands of years is the issue of introducing new species into an ecosystem. According to environmentalscience.org, introducing a new species into an environment can have very negative results on the native ecosystem, and here's how. As people and products have moved across the world and transplanted themselves in different places, wildlife has also been transported, sometimes intentionally and other times not. People have been transporting animals to foreign places to them for thousands of years, dating back to the Roman Empire, when they brought animals from elsewhere with the purpose of entertainment in the Colosseum or even using them in their military. Also, European explorers would bring back unknown specimens in order to use them for studies. However, many times the animal is not able to thrive, clearly due to a change in diet and environment, and they die an early death kept in activity. But other times they thrive in their new home and begin to wreak havoc on their surrounding environment as they reproduce and spread. Once a foreign species has spread and it has negative results, it is known as an invasive species. However, this is not always the case that they are invasive and detrimental to their ecosystem, but oftentimes they are. So this has been seen in Florida many times because Florida is a very fertile state and land. So people put Spanish moss in Florida and it has basically taken over the entire state. Not only that, but people regularly have kept exotic animals as pets, specifically large snakes. And then when they're like, oh, this snake is massive, I don't think I want it around my kids anymore, I'm going to release it into the backyard. And as a result, Florida's Everglades have been overcome by these giant snakes, and there have even been hunts and money ransoms in order to see how many snakes people could kill because there's just so many of them. Now we're going to talk about endangered species and how we protect them. So according to worldwildlife.org, there is a vast array of animals that are threatened or endangered. Threatened is a little less dire than endangered is those two titles. But among these animals are sea turtles, polar bears, rhinos, dolphins, and porpoises, orangutans, chimpanzees, and many, many more animals. This is why we can't have nice things, guys. So polar bears, there are approximately 22,000 to 31,000 left, making them their extinction risk vulnerable. So the threats are the loss of sea ice habitat. Humans are a threat because of their encounters, sometimes resulting in death for the bear. More commonly the bear, less commonly the person, but it's detrimental to both. Oil spills also are an issue as it is fatal to bears if they come in contact with it. So what are we doing to prevent these things from getting worse for the polar bears? So worldwildlife.org is making efforts to bring together Arctic communities in order to discuss and enact changes in their neighborhoods and systems in order to reduce the conflict between bears and humans. AKA they have patrols to keep people safe and avoid bears, better lighting in certain areas so one of those guys doesn't just sneak up on you, bear-proof food storage, etc. They're monitoring the bear populations, they're tracking certain animals to understand how climate change and other things affect them, and they are reducing industrial impacts, helping ships and cargo boats stay clear of ecologically fragile places and making sensitivity maps for certain places in the Arctic, which is super cool. And they are finally making efforts to conserve the ice that has remained. Now we're going to talk about sea turtles, one of the most favorite animals in the world. Sea turtles are so valuable because they're a fundamental link in marine ecosystems. They also help maintain the health of sea grass beds and coral reefs that contribute to the sustainability of important things like shrimp, lobster, and tuna, and those are super tasty, and I would hate to see them go. Sea turtles are also representative of a group of reptiles that have existed in the ocean for the last 100 million years, which is incredible. So the threats to these beautiful animals are over-harvesting and illegal trade, so people kill them for food, clearly, but also to trade their parts. And indeed, they are a source of income for people around the world, and even people will kill them for medicine and religious ceremonies because in certain parts of the world, turtles are seen as divine, which is interesting. Sea turtles are representative of a group of reptiles that have existed in the ocean for the last 100 million years. The threats to sea turtles include over-harvesting and illegal trade. People kill them for food and also trade their parts. This is a source of income for people around the world, and some people also kill them for medicine and religious purposes and ceremonies. Another thing that is threatening sea turtles' existence is habitat loss. The beaches they use for nesting eggs are constantly disturbed by vehicle and human traffic and activities, and their feeding grounds have also been damaged by people. Another major thing is climate change. All stages of these animals' lives are affected by environmental conditions like temperature, even the sex of their offspring. So unusually warm temperatures caused by climate change are disrupting the normal ratios and causing fewer male turtles to be born. So what World Wildlife is doing is trying to minimize at least the impact of climate change. So raising awareness in the Eastern Pacific and Caribbean about threats of sea levels rising on nest sites and the importance of shade for nests. Also tracking turtles in order to know where they breed and feed in order to help fisheries avoid harming them even more with their field of trade and their processes. So to conclude, questions that we might have pertaining to ecosystem and species protection is, we should ask ourselves, should we do XYZ even though data has shown that it is detrimental to our society, environment, world? Do we care about the future people in the world and them having the animals that we have and having a similar environment than we have, or do we even care about that at all, or should we care about that? If there is already global warming and we've already destroyed so much of the world's ecosystems with our own carelessness and disregard, then is it really worth it to try to backtrack and improve the environment? Some pretty big questions. Right. So I believe that even though there is damage that may not be repairable in certain instances, it is always worth putting work into the ideal of what we believe. Maybe we will never accomplish as much as we want to or think that we should, but we have to start in order to affect change at all. It's not enough to just sit on our hands and turn a blind eye to the negative changes we see around us in our ecosystem and our animals. We can do a part. If that means not touching that wild animal when you really want to pet it, or if it means trying to compost with your leftover coffee grounds and waste, if it means using fewer water bottles or straws, anything is a good thing. We can't do it all, but we can do a part, and a life of conscious living paired with acting on the knowledge we receive is the best way we can live our lives and the best way that we can thank God for the world He has gifted us with. Yeah! Yeah!
That's a really soft ending.
Oh my gosh. Ah! It's okay, buddy. Where was I? So we were talking about sea turtles. We can get this out. Can you type a little louder? No, seriously, stop. Know it.